Good evening and welcome to Sporlitiks, where sports and politics mix and mingle. I'm Stacey Johnson. Joining us tonight is Aguna, who'll be on later, the Nigerian moderate Republican, Keith, the constitutional conservative, Stephen, the independent thinker, my cousin Chris, and my cousin Todd. Oh, Lord. Tonight we've got a packed show for you. World Cup winner Argentina, their players were forced to abandon open air bus and travel by helicopter after the celebrations got so unruly they had to get out of there. A vote to release Donald Trump's taxes today is going on. They still haven't decided, and they have ordered pizza about an hour ago from Matchbox as they continue to review. NFL Week 16, is your team going to the playoffs? We'll hear specifically from Stephen, Aguna, and Chris. Puerto Rico, independence vote bill passes in the U.S. House. What does that mean? 3 suicides in 1 week on same aircraft carrier were unrelated, the Navy finds out. Congress is set to tackle crack, powder cocaine sentencing disparity before the year's end, which is about a week. A school district cancels 4 days of classes because of the flu. Texas, the state of Texas Attorney General's office requested Department of Public Service records on transgender Texans. Was that legal? Vladimir Putin says Russia's training Belarusian pilots to fly jets capable of carrying a special warhead. A $1.66 trillion omnibus funding package was released as a deadline looms with a Friday government funding and Christmas on Sunday. The House and Senate appropriations released a $1.6 trillion fiscal year 2023 package last night, but I don't know if they're able to read all the things they added on and when it will be reviewed by all of Congress in the new session. Biden administration asks Chief Justice to allow Title 42 to end and more if we can fit it in. First up, I don't know if we can fit it in. Stephen, what happened with your Commanders and the Giants?
It was a pretty decent game, but it turned out pretty bad at the end. And there's people that are out there that are conspiracy theorists that think the game didn't go the way the Commanders. And if we're going to do this, I'm going to call them the Commanders. You have to call me Commander Stephen. That's the only way I'll call them. I have conditions to call them. So you have to call me like pronouns. You have to call me Commander Stephen. So what happened was, and the bad thing was,
why not quack? Like,
we had a best receiver that was lined up. He asked the referee if he's in a good spot. Referee said, "You're in a good spot." No worry, it's Terry. He said, "Yeah, you're in a good spot." And as soon as he snapped the ball, he threw a flag. Some conspiracy theorists are saying maybe the NFL doesn't want them in the playoffs. But maybe that didn't convince you. But this is at the end of the game. The last play, where they could have made a touchdown, our poor receiver had another man all the way around him in a huge bear hug. Obviously, everybody that's watching it is, and people that are not biased, because the Redskins or Commanders, well, the Redskins have been confounding me for years. So I'm an independent thinker when it comes to my teams too. But I am enough of a realist to say something's wrong here. They don't want them to make the playoffs because they hate the owner and it's been a really bad year or whatever. But this team should have won. There were things that the defense was great. Heineke is good for what he is. He's not the answer. He's made some mistakes. but there was no reason we couldn't win. 2 weeks ago, we played them, and we ended up tying them in their hometown. And then we had a bye week. So only thing that the Commanders had on their agenda was the Giants, and this was a must win. They had to win it. The defense played great, even without Chase Young. And that's another story, if I can really quick, Stacy. Chase Young has not played this year. He had an operation, I think it was 5 years ago, it seems. It's a long time. Over a year ago, he had an operation to his knee. And anybody that's had his operation would have been playing by now, a long time ago. And every week they tell us, yep, this was a week. Chase Young's going to be out there for you. Don't worry about it. We're going to get old Chase Young back. We don't have him back. And this past week they said, yeah, it's 99%. Don't worry about it. But if you're playing him in fantasy, if you have a defensive player in fantasy, play him. He's going to do great. Don't worry about it. Nope, he didn't play. And then this week, I don't think he's going to play again. So something's really funky about that. He may, some people are thinking that he may be just nervous and scared, and he doesn't have the fight in him anymore, because he's been sitting around like a lot of people in America, just collecting a paycheck. And when that happens for a long time, it's hard to go back to work. And his work is getting smashed.
Who are you talking about?
His work is pain. His work is painful. So if he can keep collecting a paycheck and not have to work, he's like a lot of these other young people. I think he's like 25 years old, maybe even younger. And there's a lot of people that age that are like, I'd rather collect some money rather than work. So that might be what's going on, or he might be nervous.
Are you talking about members of your family? Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about my team. You can talk about your pickleball team.
No, you're talking about people don't want to work because they want to get paycheck without working. Shut up! You sound crazy. I don't
blame these young people. If I was a young man and I was like, I can make more money and not work, I might consider it. And then I would have a lot of fun. I'd never have to go to work. I'd sleep in. I'd have a great time. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just saying that's the mentality. But when I was coming up, I had a little kid. I had to work 75 hours a week at different jobs. I had to keep going. You had to keep going. But now it's like, if the government's going to give you money, and that's what it's going. If you do socialism or communism, whatever, the government wants to give these people money long enough to keep them on the dole, and eventually that money's going to run out. And then all these people who haven't got any skills or don't want to work.
All right. So thank you, Stephen. Chris,
what about Chase Young? I hope he plays this week.
Okay,
against San Francisco. Real quick, Stacey. San Francisco is a monster. San Francisco ain't nothing to play around with, and I'm nervous about the team that has to go against them. I'm nervous of any team that has to play their defense,
Chris,
because they are they're a better defense than any defense I've seen. Thank you, Stacey.
And I'm sorry, 32-29. And first of all, Stephen, why is the wide receiver asking the referee if he's right or not? He's not supposed to be asking.
Every wide receiver asks look in the league, and from high school on up, everybody, they always ask if they're over or back, if they're far enough in or far enough. They always ask that because they don't know. They don't want to get a flag. That's what happened. This happens every time. They always ask the guys on the outside. And another thing was that it's BS is because it was a play that ran straight up the middle. He had nothing to do with this play. It was a run play straight up the middle. And that's why there's some shenanigans going on, because he had nothing to do with it. And he asked the guy, and the referee gave him a thumbs up. This is what the guys on the outside have to do. They're on the outside. They're wide outs. He's a wide out. Terry McLaurin is. So he has to ask him, and he asks him every week. If you go back and watch, you can see the players go to the referee and go, am I okay? They'll do thumbs up, or they'll say okay, or whatever.
All right. Yeah. Move on.
I think your team is just not that good.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they're that good, but they should have beat the Giants. And if they hadn't have got robbed, see, there's bad calls all through every game, Chris. But at the end of the game, these two calls cost them the game. And we have a right as fans to be upset because the referees decided the game. And a lot of times that happens with gambling, but it also happens if the NFL in general wants a team to lose because they don't want them in the playoffs because they hate Dan Snyder and they want him to sell the team.
You know what? Don't put it in the hands of the referee. Beat the other team, then handle it.
You can't beat the other team if they call continuously at the end of the game, back-to-back calls, and they're called. Did you see the plays, Chris?
Yes.
Did you see the man wrap his arms around our receiver. Did you see that play?
Maybe he was affectionate towards him.
I think he was trying to make love to him, Todd. I agree with you.
Well, you know
it looks like every time. It looks like people
Chris,
making
come
love.
on, Chris, you got to move on.
So
Chris, you got to move on with Buffalo.
So Buffalo finally got our revenge against the Miami Dolphins. Through divine intervention, it started snowing in the fourth quarter. That's exactly what Miami deserved. We beat them pretty handily. Miami's a good team. They're not bad, but they didn't stand a chance. And we're the number one seed in the AFC, and we're going to win the Super Bowl.
Hey, Chris, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Chris, can I ask you something?
Gosh, he's not.
What were y'all? Were y'all a 7-point spread? Were y'all 7 point, 8 points?
7.5 points.
7.5?
Yep.
All right. When Miami's coming up to Buffalo and it's 20 degrees and they live in the summertime all year round, nobody had them scoring at all. What did they? How many points did they put on your team?
29.
That's a lot of points. Nobody thought it would be that close.
They're a good team.
Covered the spread. I was disappointed in Buffalo. Buffalo should have wore them out, but they didn't.
We won. That's all that matters.
All right.
You win. But I don't think you have a Super Bowl because you lost your best defense.
We shouldn't have Sean Von Miller anyway, but that's a whole other story.
What do you mean? He's one of the best. He's top 3 defensive player in the world, and you don't think you should have sent him? How good was that defense before he got hurt?
Not for that amount of money at 33 years old. No, I don't think we should have signed him. He's not playing now. We're still good.
Upset because he got hurt. You're good. You know what you were with him? You were great. Great defense. You were maybe top 15.
All right, thank you. So let's move on. Congratulations to Argentina.
I wanted to talk about a football game that came on yesterday, and it was LA versus who, Stacy? Did you watch it?
Green Bay.
Green Bay. Okay. Well, there was the number 28.
Yeah. LA Rams.
Really good. And who is really good. Now, I don't know what his name is, and I don't know what position he plays, and I don't know the name of his team, but he played really good, number 28, and he just bogarted right through those forwards and got a touchdown. I mean, he ran in for a home run, and it was a good game.
That's a very interesting mix of 3 different sports, Todd.
Oh, really?
That's pretty good.
Well, you probably don't know a lot about sports, but I'll teach you later.
Well, I know there's no forwards in football.
What?
I know there's no forwards in football.
Well, then how else did he?
He's a running back. He's a running back for Green Bay.
Moving on. You all don't know anything about sports.
I thought you were a big pickleball. I thought you were a pickleball fan, Todd. Why don't you talk to us about pickleball?
Actually, I am. I just watched a game yesterday or day before.
I know.
And I like
on
it.
TV?
Yeah, on TV. I forget which. I think ABC, and it is good. I'm going to get a pickleball court in my backyard.
I heard that.
There you go.
I am.
Pickleball.
So,
hey, you know the ball is shaped. Hey, Chris, you know what they call it? Pickleball. Because the ball is shaped like a pickle. The ball's shaped like a pickle.
I think I'll pass on that one.
Well, if you look at our screen, thank you. You see World Cup homecoming brings Argentina to a halt. Millions of fans throng the streets of Buenos Aires to welcome home Argentina's national team and what may be the biggest open air party in the capital's history. I'm gonna anybody want to make a comment about this, because I really want to leave it to Aguna when he comes on to talk about Argentina and how they won.
Can I just say something on a personal? Can I say something on a personal note, Stacy?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You know Angela's son Christian. He travels the world. He does workaway jobs so he can see the world instead of joining the military. or the Peace Corps.
You mean to tell me he doesn't sit home and collect a paycheck?
And he said it is absolutely crazy. It was crazy before they played, and now it's just out of this world, unbelievable. The people are going nuts. But I hope everything stays, more calm. But when you get millions of people that are really excited, even if they're happy, it's hard to contain that. If they're mad, forget about it. But otherwise, this is too crazy. And I haven't heard from him lately after the game, but I hope he's okay. It's a real big celebration. And I had Argentina, and I'm very, very happy that they won. I would never go for France. So I was happy. The best player in soccer won, Messi, but it's just added to it. It was great. It was the most exciting soccer. But I'm not going to say too much because I'm going to leave a lot of it, the details, for Aguna, because I know he's all into it because of his kids that are involved in soccer. So I'll leave it for Aguna.
Right. So thank you, and we'll also leave it for Aguna to talk about the best team in the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, that's right. You heard it. But in the meantime, don't be looking crazy, Chris. I know you're looking crazy when you heard Eagles.
Stacey,
but in the meantime,
that's my quarterback.
Yeah, Chris.
Hurts is my quarterback. He's hurt.
I don't know why Chris is looking so peculiar.
Buffalo Bills, baby.
The Eagles are primed to win the Stanley Cup if all goes well.
Nah. Look, there's nothing. I like the Buffalo Bills, Chris, but there's nothing that's going to stop the Eagles. And right now, there's nothing wrong with Hurts. That's just they have to. He don't want to say I'm just going to sit out for a couple of weeks. He has to have a fake injury because they said when he hurt his shoulder, it was sprained. He came back after he hurt his shoulder and hit a touchdown. It's
Who do the Eagles lose?
I've never seen anything. He's my favorite quarterback right now, and he runs over everybody. He squats 600 pounds for reps. He is one of the strongest quarterbacks they have out there. Allen's a strong guy, but he's strong. And you watch him, there's 5, 6 yards that he needs to get something. He don't need the rest of his big guy team to push him. He can push 4 people by himself. He can just push them back because he is amazing. And his coach said, I think today in an interview, I think it was today, he said he's got properties that normal people have. He's way normal. He is
okay. You're
going in and out, Stephen. I'm sorry. We have to move on.
But to answer your questions, I think
I'm sorry. I'll go in and I'll pop in and pop back out.
Okay. To answer your question, I think the Eagles lost to the Dodgers.
All right. So the school district of Floyd County School District made the call to cancel 4 extra days of classes this week, if you can see the screen, because of a large number of students getting the flu. Classes were canceled Tuesday through Friday, leading into the holiday break next week. This was published December 16th by Andrew Colgrove. Charles Rice has 3 kids who attend the school. He's grateful the district made the call before his own kids came down with the illness, which could have potentially put a damper on holiday festivities. Todd, do you think that school districts should be making these type of calls and canceling school because of flu outbreaks?
Yes, absolutely. The Trump supporters made a big deal out of closing the schools, but that was what we should have done during a pandemic. This is a once in a lifetime thing, once every 100 years or so. Last time this happened was the Spanish flu. So yes, we did what we thought we should do to save lives, and particularly children's lives. So it was a smart thing to do. And you have these extremists pretending like that ruined the children's whole lives. Children are alive. So it was a good thing to do.
So, Stephen, you were shaking your head, Stephen, while Todd was talking. How are you disagreeing with Todd?
I was legit.
I
You're breaking
disagree
up.
as well.
I know his voice is out.
I disagree.
Because people under 40, nobody under 40 shots or boosters get these shots or boosters detrimental to you than anything they could do for you.
You're
These
breaking
are not
up.
good
So let me get Keith
That's a
in.
problem I have with Donald Trump.
Keith,
Yeah, I would disagree with him because he's not interested in lives as long as he supports abortions.
what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Well, you just said, Todd said that it saved lives by shutting down schools.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and I said that lives are not the interest that he really has, or people like him, the Democrats. They don't care about the lives of these children.
And you say that because of what?
Because of abortions. You say you support abortions, so you don't support lives of children. That's a no-brainer. So don't give me this stuff about you care about the children's lives. Well, the children are missing school. They've missed school. They've fallen behind. We were already behind, and we've fallen further behind. So that is not resulting in anything. And they also proved that the online studies did not do much good. Online was more chaotic because it did not function properly. There was a disorder. So that's all.
Okay, so Keith, wait a minute. To say it didn't function order and it didn't do things properly is because this is the first time we've had as a society to have to go online as a whole like that without any practice, without any type of preparation, and just to go live online and totally replace the system, the in-person system that we have. So of course there would be some sort of problem with that. So Chris, do you want to talk about whether or not it was safe in Prestonburg, Kentucky, or in Philadelphia or New York City if there's a food outbreak for a school to stop classes until they get it under somewhat control?
Well, yes, I wanted to
I do agree. I do agree they should do it. If they had enough kids that had the flu, and that's such a confined space, yes, they should have shut the school down. And as far as the internet goes, as far as kids from last year, a lot of kids didn't have the internet. Some kids were working out their mother's phone for internet. So that was unfair to a lot of children last year, and a lot of kids did get behind. So I don't think it worked correctly, or it didn't work as it was intended to, because a lot of kids were disadvantaged and didn't have a shot. If you don't have internet at home, even today, going to class, you're behind. But imagine if you have to learn from home with the internet and you don't have it. I mean, it was terrible. It didn't work properly.
Okay, so we have a comment. Wait a minute. We have a comment, Todd. Let me read this comment and then go to Todd. We have a comment from a viewer. Paper Doll says, Keith seems to believe that women are nothing but incubators with no rights to their bodies. Keith, do you want to respond to that?
That was good.
I'd love to respond to that. Incubators, first of all, I don't know if this person I don't know their beliefs, so I'm not going to attack their beliefs, but I'm going to say my belief. My belief is that God, the Creator, has given woman a miraculous ability to bear children, and that should not be, canceled out by killing the child in the womb of the woman. That choice should be always positive. God told us, He said, to choose life. So He said, yes, you have a choice, but you are going to answer to the Creator who made you for that choice.
Oh, so, not to men? You're not going to answer to state representatives? You're going to answer to God?
God. Yeah, you'll answer to God.
Oh, so then the state should stay out of it then, right?
No, the state should uphold what God said. The state should not make it possible for the woman to sin against God. And that's what they do. Yeah, you laugh.
She's too stupid. She's too stupid to know how to take care of herself, right?
No, she's not stupid.
She needs some man to tell her what to do with her own body.
Well, my friend, it's no different from you saying that the state has to make a decision whether I get a vaccination or wear a mask. So it's no different.
Yeah, it's a big difference. The difference is you don't have a vagina, so you shouldn't worry about what women do with their vaginas. So
but it is my body.
Why don't you?
It is my body.
A person who may have a vagina.
It is my body. You said it's a woman's choice.
Stephen
it's
Keith
her body.
Doesn't have a vagina. Stop that.
So it's a woman's body,
Keith.
except it's a woman's body, except when it comes to.
You know what? They're not body. Because nobody's forcing them to have babies. Nobody's forcing these women to have sex, Todd. They're not incubators. If they don't want to get pregnant, you know what? Don't spread them. You ain't going to have a baby if you don't spread them. But sometimes
that's the same thing for men too, Stephen.
Like 0.001% of the time, it might be a rape. It might be incest. And then people can talk about that and decide something. But you know as well as I do that abortion is nothing else but like a prophylactic. It's like a condom or it's a pill.
No, that's in your sick Trump brain. That's in your sick Trump brain.
And what you're doing after the baby is a few weeks old, Todd, you're killing a human being. You're killing a human being after a few weeks. You can't get around that, Todd. You can't get around it.
Originally devised to control the black population as well.
The science tells you it's a person.
Now, okay, let me say this to you, Stephen. Why are you interested in something that has nothing to do with you? And
yes,
people like you.
If I get a woman pregnant, she can have an abortion without telling me.
Oh, get out of here. You can't even get nobody pregnant, so stop it.
I've got one person pregnant.
Anyway, let me say what I was trying to say.
So you're wrong.
Shut up.
I got my first wife pregnant and I have a child.
Oh my gosh, you won't stop. This is what I'm saying to you.
Stop lying.
Can you mute him or something? This is what I'm saying. Why is it that when people like you force these women to have a baby, once they have this baby, you want nothing to do with her or the child?
Todd,
they can't get welfare. They can't. Hey.
Todd,
they
can't get Christian ministries that help women that are pregnant and are scared.
We're talking about the government, not Christian ministries. Shut up. You sound crazy. Why does the government abandon these people right after they're born? No answer. This is what they do. So,
well, it's no answer because I put him on mute and you said he should be on mute. So that's why it's no answer.
Okay. And
what I said, Todd, was good people, good Christian people, good Muslim people all around the world help people that have babies that can't handle it, Todd.
The good Muslim people didn't force you to have it. The government forced you to have it. So what is the government going to do for you after you have it?
These religious groups are the same people who don't want babies to be murdered, Todd. That's murder. In the Bible, it says you can kill. Listen. It never says you can murder. Now, there's nothing more innocent in this world than a baby. And every time you have an abortion, you murder a baby.
This is what I'm saying
to you. You're crazy, Todd. I'm not the extremist. You are. You want women to have the ability to murder.
Joe Biden had
you
a
want
plan.
women to have the ability
you see how he keeps
to
talking
murder.
over me, Stacey?
It's not
Try
their
to tell him
place
to
to
shut
murder
up.
anybody.
Joe Biden had a plan to give these people that made less than $100,000 a year, $200 a month to take care of these children that Stephen's talking about. The Republicans said no. So again, they'll force you to have this baby and don't care how you take care of it. This was a plan, $200 a month for people making under $100,000 a year. That's smart. Now you can feed your child. Now I can see if you said, oh, no, we're going to help you take care of the child. Please have it because you got some backup. But they said, no, we don't want to give these people nothing because they like Stephen. They like to sit home and not work and get a check.
$200 is nothing, Todd.
Exactly. So why can't they have it? Why can't they have it? You just said
$200 is nothing.
That's the
to a woman with a baby.
You all have to stop because I have to move on, and you're trying to hijack my agenda. So Paper Doll wrote, "What about 10-year-old girls who get raped, like the little girl in Ohio. Is Stephen or Keith disappointed that she was able to get an abortion? So let's start with Keith. Were you disappointed, Keith, that she was able to get an abortion, that she was raped in Ohio?
Well, what I was disappointed with is that child will not get to live. It's unfortunate that women are raped, period. And I could suggest some techniques and some training that they could get to maybe be able to fight back so that they don't get raped. I mean, that would be the best way to go, be able to protect themselves. But of course, the liberals are against that too. You can't even defend yourself against a rapist. I'd say shoot them if you have to. But anyway, you've got to be able to fight back, number one. Number two, the woman who is raped and the aborted child never gets to live, doesn't get to live. That's not the fault of the child. So I'm not going to hold the child responsible and commit murder in that sense.
The person just said she's not a woman. The person just said please look at the screen. The responder says she's not a woman. She's 10.
Oh, she's 10 years old? Wow.
Yes,
what a
ma'am.
Wow,
yes.
She's already talking about this at 10 years old. That's
no, she's already been raped at 10 and 11 years old.
I say, well, you
now that's something different.
Okay, so a girl that's raped at 10 years old. Wow, that's terrible. That's a tragic thing. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it happened. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Well, what I'm going to do is train my nieces. Let's see, I've got a niece 13 and 12. So I'm going to be making sure that I train them in situational awareness and being able to
chances are they can't beat a 40-year-old man in a fight. So they're going to get raped.
Well, let me finish my statement, sir. It doesn't mean that they have to engage the man, but there are all kinds of situations in that circumstance. But I would still say that the unborn child who is killed is not at fault. So that's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not saying it's okay to rape a 10-year-old. I'm just saying that the child who is unborn is not at fault and therefore should not be given a death sentence in any circumstance. You could adopt the child. The child could be adopted.
How many of them did you adopt, Keith?
Well, I have 2 nieces. They're my nieces.
No, ma'am. I said, how many did you adopt?
2. I got
none.
2.
So these people
you hear what I just said,
suffer.
Are you stupid or something? I just said.
No, but I know you are.
I adopted two girls.
Stupid. He's been an ass.
Yeah,
so,
I guess
excuse me.
I guess he is. Yeah.
Okay, so we have live breaking news. I want to share our screen.
Don't tell me. Let me guess. Stephen's pregnant again.
Live breaking news. You look at my screen. Look at the screen, please. Live updates from NewYorkTimes.com. House committee approves release of Trump's taxes. The House and Ways and Means Committee voted to release 6 years of Mr. Trump's taxes, ending a nearly 4-year process to make his financial information public. It may be days before the tax information is released, and the Supreme Court paved the way for today's vote by declining former President Trump's request to block lawmakers from obtaining his tax information. Why are you shaking your head, Chris?
He's on mute.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
This is a total waste of time. Whether or not Donald Trump did something legal or illegal with his taxes is not going to change my life for the better or anybody else's life. It's a total waste of time. They have better stuff that they should be worried about. That's it.
So, Chris, let me ask you this.
Yes.
If you knew someone in your town who was brought up on trumped up charges, it was a total waste of time, and you think they should have been released and not have gone through that, what do you do to make sure that happens for them and they're not influencing the world the way President Trump did?
I'm not sure Trump influenced the world the way Democrats started it, because if he did that much, he would have won the election. He didn't win.
It was stolen.
Well, no, Stephen, it wasn't stolen.
It was stolen. Yeah.
Hey,
I don't believe it. I don't believe the election was stolen. I believe he got all voted.
Is uncovered.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe the election was stolen. No, I just believe he got outvoted.
So let's look at this. Look at the screen. It says, this is New York Times, after debating behind closed doors for about 3 hours and 20 minutes today, the Democrat-controlled committee approved the release of 6 years. It could take some time before anything's available, and they really won't release the specifics or the line-by-line items. They'll probably summarize things. My question is, okay, let's look at this. The chairman of the committee, Representative Richard Neal, Democrat from Massachusetts, said the decision to release the information was not about being punitive. This was not about being malicious. He said there were no leaks and sensitive information. So what do you think, Todd, was about the decision to release these taxes?
Well, one thing is this, before I get heavy into that. Stephen is glad that they released his taxes, because years ago, back when Stephen was normal, Stephen said he should release his taxes. Every president releases their taxes. And what makes him so special? He should release his taxes. He should be forced to release it. That's when Stephen was normal. And knowing that Trump was no different than any other president. So, but of course, now he's switched up and said, oh, no, he don't have to show them.
It's odd.
Anyway.
Taxation is theft. And if somebody wants to get around the tax bull crap, I'm good with that, Todd.
You didn't say that then. Hey, Stephen, you did not say that. What you said was Trump should be forced to show his taxes like all other presidents.
Todd, that's when I was worried about Donald Trump being a really bad guy that was going to try to be a dictator. But then I saw what he had done that was good for this country. I've told you this 100 times. And then I saw the left and what they were planning for this country. That's when I decided the left is not cool. Donald Trump did a lot of good. I have a lot of problems with Donald Trump, but he's better than anybody on the left.
Okay, so
that's
Stephen,
what he's shown me. I'm an independent thinker.
Hold it.
I'm a never Trumper.
Okay,
I'm a never Trumper, but he's better than what you have on the left. And Stacey, if I could, I really didn't get a chance to talk about.
No, we don't want you to talk about that. You can't change the topic.
Wait a minute.
All right, so Stephen,
let me go back.
No, Stephen, I'm sorry. We have to let Todd finish, and then we'll go to you. Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
So, so now he has to show his taxes just like every other president did. So they're only doing what every president goes through. When you're running for president, you have to show your taxes. And so now we're going to see his taxes, and we're going
So what is the point for people who don't know? What is the point of all people who run for president and who are president have their taxes audited? What is the point of doing that in the first place?
Auditing or revealing?
Both.
Well, they get audited for all kinds of reasons, but to show your taxes is to show the American people you're honest. You don't have no underhanded dealings going on. You don't have no overseas businesses going on that you're not telling the United States about. So it just shows your cards, which is what Stephen was saying years ago. It's fair. So now all of a sudden, well, he's such a good president, I don't want to see him now. So that makes no sense at all.
All right. Thank you.
Fair, and he should not be exempt.
Okay. Go ahead, Stephen. You have 5 seconds to respond. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Start again, Stephen. Start again.
But taxation is theft, and everybody does it. Everybody does what they're going after Trump for. Everybody does it as money. But let me say something really quick.
No,
Stacey.
Barack Obama didn't do it. You saw his taxes.
Illegal alien. Stop talking, Todd. The 10-year-old was raped by an illegal alien. The mother of the 10-year-old was an illegal alien. She was complicit with her daughter being raped because she could not tell the authorities that her daughter was raped by an illegal alien because she was an illegal alien.
Move on, Stacey, because he doesn't know what he's those are not facts.
And wait a minute, the 10-year-old can have a baby. It was a tragedy that she got raped. Nobody wants a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 45-year-old, an 80-year-old.
Nobody wants an idiot.
But
Mother
this
was complete.
little kid was raped by a man who was an illegal alien, and her own mother didn't turn her in because they were illegal in this country. That's what the story they don't tell you on MSNBC. Whoopi Goldberg will not tell you that, cousin Todd.
Now,
these people won't tell you. That's why
now
you
what
remain
he's saying
ignorant. You're
is the mother was
man,
complicit
but you don't
in this
have the
rape.
information.
Do you
that's
see
the
how
truth.
sick he
you
is? Stay off the dark web, weirdo.
By the left-wing media, and you know nothing about what's going on in this
Stacey,
country.
move on,
it's
because
sad, Todd. It's really sad.
You are a Trump supporter.
Okay, thank you. Phew. You guys go on and on. I want to go back to that screen and President Trump's releases. They had pizza from Matchbox. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Matchbox for pizza, but it's like a brick oven pizza. It's just really delicious. I wish I had one right now. The Times releases, you see this article, in 2020, findings of an investigation into Mr. Trump's tax returns, data covering more than 2 decades. He paid no federal income taxes in 11 of 18 years that the Times examined. I want to ask each one of you, Chris, have you paid federal income taxes? Did you pay federal income taxes, Chris?
Yes.
Do you think Donald Trump should not pay federal income taxes?
No, but all rich people don't pay federal income taxes, regardless if you're Democrat.
11 out of 18 years, and you think that's fair?
No.
Okay. Keith, did you pay federal income taxes?
Yes.
Do you think Donald Trump should not pay federal income taxes 11 out of 18 years?
No, I don't. But I would like to know. There are all kinds of rules and laws and stuff like that. It takes an attorney to figure out. So we don't know all the details of his situation.
Cousin Todd, did you pay federal income taxes?
None of your business. If Trump doesn't tell, nor do I. Now,
do you think it's fair that you have? Do you think it's fair that you have to pay income taxes and Trump does not have to pay income taxes?
Well, is it fair is a silly kind of question, so I'll answer it this way. The government has made it legal to not pay federal income taxes for specific people. And so I don't blame Trump for getting around paying those taxes.
For 11 out of 18 years?
18 out of 18 years, if he can. And so the problem is setting this thing up for people to be able to do that. That was deliberate and done only for specific people, meaning not Stephen and certainly not Keith. Okay. Rich people. And so that is the part that is unfair.
All of us on the show is treated unfairly when it comes to taxes.
And so that's the part that is unfair. But as far as him being unfair, no, I don't think he was being unfair. He did what he could get away with. And so I never blamed Trump for not paying taxes. No way. I thought that was
right on, Todd.
So, Stephen, did you pay federal income taxes?
Yeah, I paid federal income taxes, but we didn't have federal income taxes till what was it, World War I, something like that.
Okay, now, did you pay federal income taxes? Do you think it's fair that Trump did not pay federal income taxes 11 years out of 18?
If anybody can use loopholes or anything else to get out of paying their taxes, God bless them, because it is theft. They are stealing your money. Your government has no right to your money. And when we can figure this out,
okay, all right.
And if we all come together as a people, we won't.
Well, we're not coming together because nobody will come around you.
Tax my income. Nobody,
well, they do. They do. Why don't you move back to Europe?
Pay taxes on it.
Why don't you move back to Europe? This is America, and if you don't like the way we do business,
move back to Europe. Europe is horrible.
That's where your people come from. If you don't like it around here, move back to where you came from.
I'm from South Africa, Todd. Shows how much you know.
Steven.
All right.
Yeah.
So, also,
We
2
want our
hours
country back.
ago, let me share my screen again. 2 hours ago, there's this article that came out, U.S. News and World Report, Department of Justice approach to January 6th committee, leave the referral, take the evidence. The Justice Department has no mandate to act on the referrals, but is seeking the evidence behind them as it conducts its own investigation into the former president. This was written today by Claire Hansen, basically saying that the House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection has voted to refer former President Donald Trump and his allies to the Justice Department for criminal charges. The referrals, while an extraordinary step against a former president, are largely symbolic and have been derided by some on the right as political theater. Chris, former vice president for President Trump, believes that they should not refer him for criminal charges. Is it fair that he not get referred for criminal charges as the House looks to make sentencing fair between crack cocaine and powder cocaine?
Again, this is another waste of time by Democrats. Trump's not going to jail. He's not going to be convicted of anything. I'm not even sure he did anything wrong, to be honest with you. Now, the people who stormed the Capitol, sure, they did something wrong. But unless Donald Trump was up on camera with a flagpole hitting a police officer, I don't see anything happening to him.
Now, wait a minute. Now, are you saying, can you go into a movie theater and shout fire? You can't do that.
You can, if you want to.
That's a crime. You go to jail for that.
You won't be arrested.
What did Donald Trump say? Donald Trump said, go and be peaceful and love everybody and remember Jesus Christ loves you.
All right. Now let me.
They omitted that, Stephen.
Okay, go ahead, Cousin Todd. Hurry up. I got to get them in here.
I can't. They're in. This is my point. He conned these people for months leading up to the insurrection. Come on down to the Capitol. It's going to be wild. He knew what he was going to do because he had discussed it with his cronies. And matter of fact, one of the things they were saying was, just say you won the election. Doesn't matter if you win or not. Just say you won and let them deal with it, which is what he did. And he wanted the count stopped by midnight before you can count those other ballots. So people who are less intelligent fell for that. But Trump loves the less intelligent people. He said he loves uneducated people because he can take advantage of them.
So, okay, so Keith, let me ask you. The House is currently, U.S. House of Representatives right now, is currently going to look to tackle crack, powder cocaine, sentencing disparity. So what that means is people who were convicted of having powder cocaine got different sentences than people who were convicted of having crack cocaine.
Correct.
So
and
they're saying that
something funny, but it's in
okay.
Now.
Sorry. So they're saying that basically, if you had crack cocaine, you got a heavier sentence than if you had powder cocaine. And usually,
it's true. Yeah.
those people who had crack cocaine were minorities,
look like Keith.
And people who had powder cocaine were Caucasians,
look like Stephen.
So they felt it was fair. The justice system felt it was fair to make a difference between these two people based on their ability to buy drugs. So my question would be, why is it, Keith, do you hear me? I want to make sure you know my question. Why is it fair, or why do they have to correct the mistake they made with a disparity, but yet a president of the United States can do and get away with anything he wants?
Well,
that wasn't a good.
I guess that's not a very good question because the president is not based on color, whereas the other one, you are indicating that it's based on color, skin color. you and Todd are saying that the difference.
No, what do you think? Do you think
No,
it's based
first
on
off,
skin
no,
color?
don't talk for me. And first off, don't lump me in with Todd. I don't love me and Todd, and don't say my question isn't great. My question makes sense. A president of the United States is a president for everyone, regardless of who the person is, every United States citizen. He has to be above board. So why is it fair for someone who is president of the United States to get away with not being above board, but everyone in the United States can, can get caught for crimes and have unfair sentencing? Go ahead, Keith.
First of all, they were not fair with the president of the United States. Okay, let's get that out of the way. There's no fairness with him because he has not been on trial. He has not faced his witnesses. Faced his accusers. That's a part of the Fourth Amendment and the Sixth Amendment. And so he is not being treated. He's not getting his rights based on the Fifth Amendment, which are his rights as a citizen. So
he pleaded the Fifth over 200 times.
He has not been treated fairly because they have a committee that is one-sided, a committee that has no evidence of wrongdoing.
Because the Republicans didn't show up. They said no.
Even the wrongdoing that they accuse him of with the taxes, that's all bogus. There's no wrongdoing involved in the tax because he follows the tax codes. I'm sure that everything was according to law. And those
how do you know that?
To answer that, that's how I would answer that. There is no evidence saying of wrongdoing with the president whatsoever. Everything they found
in New York, they have a case against him.
No, they would have indicted, if there was enough evidence, they would have indicted him. And also, he should have been able to face his witness. I keep saying witness. He should be able to face his accusers just as I would or you would. We're supposed to be able to.
He didn't want to.
No fairness in that. So
don't you remember?
That's why I say, Stacey, I can't answer your question.
Well, Keith, I've been letting you talk. He only interrupted you last 2 times, but you've been talking uninterrupted now for a while. So you had a good time to defend whatever it is you wanted to say.
Yeah. I can't answer your question then.
Okay, that's fine. So let's look at this article. It says
I wanted to talk about crack cocaine versus powder cocaine.
Go ahead, Cousin Todd.
I don't know if Keith knows it or not. He plays amnesiac from time to time. That this is a racist situation where people that use crack get more time in jail than people that use cocaine, powder cocaine. That's just blatant racism, and that's obvious.
Yeah,
there's no question at all about that.
It's not blatant racism.
That's Todd. See, he always thinks everything's racist.
Stacey, can I say something?
Yes, go ahead. Hurry up.
It's not about race. It's about rich and poor. The rich people do cocaine. Poor people do crack. I don't care what color you are. Poor people do drugs that rich people don't do. Now, you needed to be rich to do cocaine from the 70s, 60s, 70s on through, basically 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, whatever. But and they made crack for people who were poor. This country and all countries are against people who are struggling, who are poor, who can't afford to do cocaine, so they do crack. They can't afford, back in the 70s, Michelob, but they could afford Budweiser. That's what it's all about. And if it disproportionately hurted black people more in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, if it disproportionately did, that's because percentage-wise, maybe there's more poor of them percentage-wise. But it affected everybody poorly. And no, cocaine.
So my question, Stephen.
Cocaine and crack should be charged the same way.
Okay, so my question is, you feel as though they should get punishment for doing a crime, but you don't feel as though Donald Trump should get punishment for doing a crime?
I don't think Donald Trump did any crime because taxation is theft. The theft is taxation to the people in this country. We shouldn't have to pay taxes. We are a rich country and they are ripping us up. And what happens a lot of times with rich people like Donald Trump and other rich people, they don't end up paying taxes, but they're not under a deep state microscope the way Donald Trump is. They've been going after him for years.
Right, but excuse me. Donald Trump put himself under this deep state microscope when he ran for office. No one made him.
I understand that, but they don't go after Joe Biden. They don't go after Joe Biden or Hunter Biden or what the deep state has been doing. They don't go that way. All of these people, CIA, FBI, DOD, they're all corrupt, Stacey. They are killing this country.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. I don't know. Okay, that's your opinion. I don't know if it's necessarily true.
You're not giving me anything.
Yes, it is. You're not giving me anything in writing. You're not giving me anything in writing showing so we can show the audience what you're saying is true. Give it to me so I can show them on the screen that what you're saying is true. Where is it? I need it now. I need it now. I need it now. Where is it? So look.
Elon Musk. Stacey,
okay, now look at this. Look what I'm doing.
And what he's exposing of the FBI and CIA and the Department of Justice.
So I need something like this. You see how I have this article up?
Stacey, do you know anything?
Stephen, do you see how I have this article up?
Right.
Do you see how I have this article up? I need something from you where I can post an article up and show, and then you can discuss why you believe what you're saying is true based on this. That's what I need from you right now. Do you understand? So, Chris, I asked you the same question, Chris, that I asked Stephen. Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I asked you the same question that I asked Stephen. My thing is, why is it fair that President Trump doesn't get charged for his crimes, but it's fair that those who have crack cocaine get charged higher sentencing rates than those with powder?
I'm not sure you can equate Trump with crack cocaine, but it's not fair. But
I'm not trying to equate him. I'm saying if you do the crime, you have to do the time. They say nothing about equating anyone. If you do the crime, you do the time.
Throughout history, rich people have historically not done the time for the crimes they've done. I mean, that's just part of life. I wish I had something different to say, but I mean, Trump's a rich. O.J. Simpson, prime example.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Poor people get put in jail all the time simply because they have a worse lawyer than a rich person,
no matter what color they are.
So I agree with Stephen. I don't think it's necessarily a racial thing. I think it's more of a poor rich thing.
Okay.
It's like you get put in jail for drinking malt liquor, and the person who drinks champagne doesn't get put in jail.
Right.
All right.
Very good analogy, Chris and Stephen.
Hey, I've drank plenty of malt liquor in my life, Chris.
So have I.
Yes, sir.
But not a lot of champagne.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we used to drink
Mickey's earlier this week. Let me share the screen again. The United States House of Representatives voted Puerto Rico independence vote bill passes the U.S. House. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you. This was December 15th by Moira Warburton. And it says that Puerto Rico's movement for greater self-government got a boost Thursday in the U.S. House of Representatives, which passed a bill for a referendum on 3 potential futures, although the measure had little chance of being taken up by the Senate. The Puerto Rico Status Act outlines terms for a binding referendum on 3 options. One is full independence, U.S. statehood, or sovereignty with former U.S. association, similar to the Marshall Islands and Micronesia. Democratic Representative Raul Gujlava, the bill's original sponsor, said that whether the measure gets a vote in the Senate or not, it will still set an important historic precedent for Puerto Rico. It tells the people in Puerto Rico, our fellow U.S. citizens, that this election is going to be above board and the consequences are going to be above board. So the measure passed in the Democratic-controlled House, 233 to 219, along party lines. What does this mean for Puerto Ricans?
I don't think Puerto Rico is going to be independent. I mean, that's just ridiculous. They need to become.
Why would you say that's ridiculous?
Because they can barely manage themselves now. So they're going to be independent and then not have the help of America and do what? Be worse than what they are now.
No, they said, if you look at that article, it says that, and this article says that they will be like Micronesia. I'm looking for it. Okay, U.S. statehood or sovereignty with formal U.S. association, or the Marshall Islands and Micronesia.
Well, like I said, full independence is not going to happen because they can barely take care of themselves. U.S. statehood, which should probably happen. And as far as being a territory like the Marshall Islands, I really can't speak on that because I don't know a lot about the Marshall Islands or Micronesia.
Keith, was this a good move for Puerto Rico to have these three options?
Well, I don't know why. I think it's just more grandstanding because, even the United States is losing its sovereignty. We are no longer as sovereign as we used to be, especially since the founding of America, because we are subject to a lot of the United Nations and all these agencies, environmental groups. We're sovereign. We're not sovereign. We're not as sovereign. So I don't think it's going to do much good, especially with them.
Okay, Stephen.
Give me the question, Stacey. I was a little bit distracted there for a second.
We're talking about, look at the screen. Let me just a minute. I'm sorry. The Puerto Rico Status Act outlines terms for a binding referendum on three options for Puerto Rico: full independence, U.S. statehood, or sovereignty with formal U.S. association similar to Marshall Islands and Micronesia. Will this work for Puerto Rico?
Do they actually want U.S. statehood? Like we should have the 51st state that would be Puerto Rico? Because I'm really used to the flag. I don't want to change that. I'm good with 50 states. Maybe it's because I live in the South and I don't like change. I'm pretty good with that. But if they want full independence, what do they mean full independence from anybody else? That's fine with me too. They can have full independence away from us. That's fine too. And if they get into a bind, we can help them. But I really don't think we need Puerto Rico to have, like statehood and be part of our country, because they're kind of teeter-tottering on whether or not they can hold their own. And we have 50 strong states, although we don't agree with every one of them. We pretty much have 50 strong states. And I think that's an even round number. And I'm happy with that. But I want the best for Puerto Rico, because I have a lot of Puerto Rican friends and that live in this country now. And I just want the best for them. And I don't want to put the United States out of any kind of commission or tax us or burden us more than we have right now to bring them on as a 51st state. And just think of all the flags and everything they have to change. 51, it's not even going to work. So let's just keep it 50. I'm happy with that. And whatever they want to do that makes their situation better is really good for me.
What were you going to ask him, Chris?
I was going to ask Stephen, do you think that Puerto Rico should do full independence? Because they just be relying on America anyway, probably worse than what they are now.
But independence from who, Chris? That's what I don't know.
Yeah, I guess independence from us.
Oh, okay. They want independence from us, do their own thing. But when they need us, we got to be there. That's like a really bad girlfriend. Like I can go see anybody I want. I can do anything I want to do. But when I need you, you better be there for me. I don't know if I like that arrangement, Chris.
Pretty much.
All right, thank you. And I want to talk about this. If you look at this tab, the Biden administration just wants Supreme Court to end Title 42, but not just yet. The administration seeks another pause, at least a week, in winding down the Trump-era border policy. Right now, as you can see this picture, it says Tuesday from the Department of Justice comes a day after Chief Justice John Roberts issued a temporary stay of a federal district court judge's order that required the Biden administration to lift the implementation of Title 42 by this Wednesday morning. This article was written by Maya Ward and Josh Gerstein today, 8:07 p.m. The response on Tuesday from the Department of Justice comes a day after Chief Justice Roberts issued a temporary stay. Keith, what is this doing for immigration?
Well, it's just making it more confusing and making it harder to, control our borders. All of these decisions that, a president makes a decision, then the judge overturns it. Then the president makes another decision, the judge overturns it, or vice versa. I mean, then we get another president, a different president, maybe in 2 years, hopefully, and he makes a decision, the judge overturns it. So, I mean, I don't know how we at this point are even standing in government. Oh, yes, I do. Thank you, God. It's by the grace of God. But, it's amazing that such confusion, because our border, the people who suffer the most by all these half decisions are the people of the United States. Yeah, I live in Los Angeles. I live in a border state, California. We suffer a great deal from that. And also the Border Patrol agents, they are under tremendous pressure. I mean, these guys, their very lives are threatened every day.
They're killing themselves, Keith. They're killing themselves in high rates.
Yeah.
They're so
if you look at the article, I have, it says the government recognizes that the end of Title 42 orders will likely lead to disruption and a temporary increase in unlawful border crossings. The government in no way seeks to minimize the seriousness of that problem. But the solution to the immigration problem cannot be to extend indefinitely a public health measure that all now acknowledge has outlived its public health justification. Chris, you can't keep things going that don't fit anymore. But you have to prepare for the surge that comes afterwards before it happens, right?
To me, all this is proven is that they think Donald Trump was right, and they're just trying to figure out a way to extend what he already did. That's all it is. Yeah. Clearly, the Democrats don't want 1,000 people or 1 million people streaming across the border every day, which is what will happen if they do away with it. So they're just saying that he's correct.
Right.
They're trying to do it in a roundabout way. President Obama deported more Mexicans and Latinos than any other president in the history of America. People don't talk about that.
They just don't want to. They don't want to give him credit, Chris. That's all.
Cousin Todd.
I don't know what that would have to do with anything. The bottom line here is they were kept out because of the pandemic.
It's not over, Todd.
Sure it is.
The pandemic's over.
It's not.
What we are in now is
again, Todd.
We are out of the pandemic. We don't have 1 million people dying anymore.
Well, Todd admits. You admit it, Todd? Wow.
I've admitted this a long time ago when the surge was over. Now we're getting ready. Now that was back this summer. We had come out of the pandemic, so we didn't have to be masked up outside. Anyway, now that we're inside again, the weather's cold. The numbers has jumped up since Thanksgiving. And they're probably going to go higher for Christmas and New Year's, just like they did last year.
but not for
But
COVID.
they're also calling it the flu, COVID, and RESPCT, the Aretha Franklin.
Okay,
spike.
so anyway, like I was saying, there was a pandemic, and so therefore they used that. Not that Donald Trump was right. It wasn't about being right or wrong. There was a pandemic, and so therefore he couldn't allow them in.
Well, I mean, it is about him being right or wrong. He's the one that implemented the tactic. He's the one that came up with it. So they're saying that he's correct.
Well, he didn't come up with it, to be clear.
Well, who came up with it?
Oh, perhaps you're under the disillusion that the president comes up with all of these ideas. There's a staff of people that tell him what they're going to be doing.
Stacey said,
just a figurehead. Nevertheless,
Stacey, present your evidence. That's what Stacey just told Stephen. So you too. Present your evidence.
About?
Somebody else.
So what I said was Stephen was saying that the Department of Justice and all these government agencies are corrupt, and I said, give me an article that I can place to show that
I will.
What you're saying is correct, so that people can respond to it. And so Keith is saying to you, you present your article right now, so I can put it up like I put up this political article.
Okay.
And it's
that says Donald Trump has a staff.
Of course, Todd, he has a staff. He's not making all decisions by himself.
Oh, no, but
he's the administrator.
Here's your article that proves that. Keith wants to know. Where's your article to prove that? This is how stupid this conversation is.
Well, Stacey agrees with me. I mean, we talked
anyway, I got to move on. You know, people can make you dumb if you allow them.
Let me ask you this question.
And I'm not going to allow you all to make me dumb. So let me move on to
you all or
article.
Stephen and Keith specifically.
The Texas Attorney General's office requested DPS records on transgender Texans. And let me go down and show you what they're talking about. Texas Attorney General Kim Paxton's office sought a list of individuals who changed their gender on their state driver's license and other records over a 2-year span from the state's Department of Public Safety. Why it matters. Trans rights advocates are worried the state could target transgender Texans using government-held data and continue to limit their rights. Remember, Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill last year that requires public school students to play on sport teams based on their assigned sex at birth. Cousin Todd, why does this matter? Why is this a big deal? You brought this article to my attention.
Well, because when you have people summoning people's identification and making them put down the sex they were born with, this is long after they have had reassignment surgery. Say they had reassignment surgery 10 years ago. Well, the governor wants on their license the sex they were born with, which is dirty, unfair, and it puts the person in a position to be harassed by the police. When you stop a person that used to be named Stephen and a male, when he's now Kishana and a female, well, now you're going to run into harassment. But for them to do that in Texas shows exactly their ignorance, their bias, their homophobia. They're just dirt. And I've often wondered, why do these so-called heterosexual people consume themselves with gay people?
Do you believe that should extend to sports?
It's not gay.
Say what?
Do you believe it should extend to sports teams?
And this is what they come up with. Well, what about the sports teams?
No, I'm asking a question. Do you think it should extend to sports teams?
Well, I'm not answering that question. I think it's a silly question.
It's not
when
a silly
you're
question.
Talking about less than 1% of Americans.
You believe a man should be playing football against women or basketball against women?
Yes, he does.
To you,
He's
I'm
good
not
with that.
answering that because that's less than 1% of America.
Chris,
and so why are you trying to pretend like that's any number of people? That's a very few people.
It's got to be more than a number of people because a lot of people are getting transgender surgery and they're going and competing in track and field, for example.
How many of them are doing that?
I don't know how many of them, but it's enough for them to write an article
It's getting more and more every day because it's become so trendy because the left is pushing.
And so you think they're doing this because it's trendy.
Change who they think they are. The left is pushing children.
Let me finish my point. Stacey, ask these people to be silent. So the point is, it is awfully peculiar how so-called heterosexual people consume themselves with gay people and what they're interested in.
Transgender is not gay.
I've never seen such a thing. I find it odd, weird, and peculiar.
Transgender is not gay, Todd.
When, of course, you would know. I know you would know, but I know you would know. But let me finish what I'm saying before you give the facts about gay people. So why is it that they consume themselves? And this is the so-called Christians. All they ever say is, "Oh, gay, 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 gay." They never talk about liars. They never talk about adulterers. But they fixate on
every
gay
sin
people.
Is bad, Todd.
They are sick.
Being gay is not the greatest sin of all.
It is beyond sick how they live, and they pit these people against them. And so this is why you get the question, what do you think about the people playing sports? Oh my God. It reminds me of when they were talking about the bathroom situation. Remember that, Keith? You jumped on that bandwagon a few years ago, but that didn't go anyplace. So you had to cancel Christmas on that one. Oh, they're going to rape people in the bathroom. Remember you said that.
They did. People did get raped in the bathroom. That's
why
we have a Republican governor in Virginia. Because a girl got raped. A girl got raped by somebody who was transgender in her bathroom, and that's why we have a Republican
liar and a con artist. You got that trick.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Stay off the dark web and say no to drugs.
I'm going to move on because we're running out of time. Oof. I'm going to share my screen. Oh my gosh. Lawmakers advance the sprawling spending bill race to avoid a shutdown. This was written. The legislation, which would fund the government through September, would significantly increase federal spending and provide billions of dollars in emergency aid. This 4,100-page package includes more aid for Ukraine. Now, mind you, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky is coming tomorrow to the United States, to the White House, and to address Congress. Surprising, it's a surprise visit. So it's going to give more money for Ukraine. It's going to add changes to the Electoral Count Act and a ban on TikTok on government devices. This was written today by Emily Cotrain and updated at 8:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's now 8:48 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have to start our roundtable because we're out of time. We'll start with Keith, then Stephen, Chris, and then Cousin Todd. Keith, this, as you can see, New York Times article, the Senate sent this on Tuesday. They don't know if they're going to be able to keep up. They don't even know if they're going to be able to keep it as it is with all of these packages in it. What will they be able, do you think, to do?
Well, they're not going to do anything. I mean, they've already, we just had a spending bill, a big spending bill a month ago or whatever it was that big spending bill for the economy. So, I mean, they keep spending and spending and spending. Pretty soon it's just not, they're not going to be able to print up all this money. It's just not going to work. We're going to be just not able to do it. So I don't know, just another one of those big shows.
Are you talking about the infrastructure bill that Donald Trump wanted to pass? Is that the big bill you're talking about?
No, the one after Donald Trump, the one that Biden and the Democrats passed with
the infrastructure bill. That's the biggest bill ever passed. So, but never mind. You don't know what you're talking about.
Nevertheless,
stay off the dark web.
nevertheless, the bill was passed, and so that's another big spending bill. So now here we are again at the same, another big spending bill, trillions of dollars. And
okay.
And so all I'm saying is that it's just not going to go anywhere. Nothing's going to happen. They're just pissing away money.
So the question here, if you can look at the screen, the real question is, as you pose it, and maybe you guys can answer it, what is more dangerous to the country? A 1.1 trillion in new debt? Or as Republican leadership likes to say, oh, but it's a big win for the military. Keith?
Well, what does the military have to do with it?
They got a great big chunk of that money, ding dong.
Debt. This is new debt. I mean, yes, we have more debt. It's not,
but the military needs the money, Republicans said.
I don't think the military is going to get all this money.
What? Okay, Stephen?
It's not going to go to...
Let me... This is nothing. Donald Trump...
No, that's answer the article. Do you see the question? Answer the question on there.
To me, I got to go back to where we were. Donald Trump got impeached for looking for corruption, and the president that is asking for so much money, and all the money we're given is corruption. There's nothing but money laundering.
The president asking for money. He just wanted to stop the steal. He wanted you to send your money in.
No, the president
that you can stop the steal.
The president of Ukraine is a dictator. He is as bad as Putin. The dictator that is from Ukraine is taking our money because Joe Biden. That's why Donald Trump got impeached. Remember, he said there's something going on here. See what you can do. Investigate it. But he said that to hit the president. The president is Adolf Hitler. Ukraine is the second most corrupt country in the world behind Russia. What you need to understand is you're being
China. I thought it was China.
Tax money, and they're trying to help. They're not trying to help a country. It's money laundering. That's all it is.
Okay, thank you.
Is coming out, Stacey.
Okay, I can't. You're not answering my question. My question was.
Everything with.
Okay, my question is this: is it better to add more debt, Chris? Mm-hmm. Like look at the article. The real question is this: what is more dangerous to the country? What would be more dangerous to you? To add $1 trillion in new debt, or is it a win for the military, Cousin Chris?
$1 trillion in new debt.
$1 trillion in new debt. What?
We're printing money that we don't have. And just like he said, that's all it is. It's a money grab. Which is, does anybody really care about Ukraine, quite honestly?
Yes.
No. Why, Tom? Why do you care about Ukraine?
Oh, it's funny you should ask. I'll tell you. You see, our president, the United States president, said to Ukraine, hey, Ukraine, if you get rid of your nuclear weapons, we, the United States, will protect you. And they said, okay.
I don't believe that.
I can't.
Okay, that was Chris. That was written, and it was an agreement made. It was like a memorandum agreement made with Russia, United States, and Ukraine because they felt as though Ukraine had
after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yes, okay. That's what he's talking about. So, all right, let me move on. Cousin Todd.
Yes.
I think you've answered everything.
Yeah, I got to get out. I can. I'm starting to itch.
And Ukraine is the second most country full of Nazis in the world, too, by the way. That's actually true.
Yeah, but what about China? I thought
China's not full of Nazis. They're full of communists.
So I wanted to show you this article. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the service members and their families. U.S. Navy investigation in the CNN.com article says that 3 suicides within 1 week in April among the crew of an aircraft carrier in Newport News, Virginia were not related or connected. The deaths on board the USS George Washington were the result of unique and individualized stressors for each sailor, coupled with a readily available means to die by suicide and an impaired mental state. It's investigating a separate series of suicides in nearby Norfolk, Virginia, between late October and late November. They were enlisted sailors who were on their initial assignments of the crew of the USS George Washington, which was going through a multi-year refueling and overhaul process in the shipyards in Newport News. They all worked in different departments, and the investigation found no available evidence they had social or working relationships. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of those military members who were lost. I think that's it. We were able to cover a lot. We didn't cover about Aguna was not able to join us, but we did not cover about how the Philadelphia Eagles thought about not playing Jalen Hurts for a broken shoulder because they're going to play these bums called the Dallas Cowgirls, and the Dallas Cowgirls have nowhere to go. They're not where we are in terms of playoffs.
They're not girls.
And they're not where we are. Excuse me, they're not where we are in terms of the playoffs. They can only come in and hurt us and hurt our quarterback. So for me, it's really not worth it. I think it's a smart, cool thing to sit Jalen Hurts down, even though Jalen Hurts said he's okay to play and he will play against on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. He will play against the Cowgirls. But they're not ruling it out. I wish they would not.
You have to look at their ID card to be sure.
I beg your pardon?
That was good.
He said they're not girls, so you have to check their ID to be sure.
Yeah.
Well, you can't even check that now because, DPS may run on something that they collected a while ago. So if you look at that article I have up here, he suffered a sprained right shoulder in Sunday's win over Chicago Bears, yet wouldn't rule the league MVP candidate out for this week against Dallas. I think they should sit him down, let the backup play. Who cares if we win or lose that game? Dallas has nothing. I mean, we have everything to gain, and Dallas has everything to lose.
We have everything to lose. And
we have everything. Thank you. We have everything to lose, and Dallas has nothing to gain.
You're a Trump supporter, so you get tongue-tied like that.
And Dallas has nothing to gain because they're going nowhere as usual, and they usually go nowhere pretty fast. Congratulations to the Argentina team for winning the World Cup, and everyone got out of FIFA. Out of Qatar for FIFA. And thank you for joining us this year. It's been a great transformational year for Sporlitiks as we went from audio to video on YouTube. We'll be off the live shows for the next 2 weeks. We'll see you next year live, brand new, spanking, ready to go. Did I miss anything, anybody?
No, just Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
I'd like to know why Todd thinks Stacey is a Trump supporter. She's all support Trump. She doesn't say anything good about Trump. What are you talking about?
Yeah, tell him, Keith.
Yeah. I don't get that.
He thinks he's trying to get you.
No, I don't get that. I don't know why. Why do you think that she's a Trump supporter?
Well, I only call her a Trump supporter when she says something crazy or makes a mistake.
So thank you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy New Year. And we will see you live next year. You can like and go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. Check us out on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Stephanie Stallworth, The Flow Television Network, and Instagram. Check out our new Instagram page. We'll see you next year. Good night.
Bye, cuz.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Good man, Chris. All right. You did good. Got to be on more often.
Y'all have a good night.
Thanks. Rich, you sound crazy when you said something about, well, never mind.
Now, what was that, Todd? What's that?
Yeah. When we were talking about Ukraine, and why do we support Ukraine? It's like, really? We made a promise So the
yes,
world
that
is like
that was in the 90s. Yes, I do. We made promises with not just Ukraine, Belarus, if I'm not mistaken, Georgia.
Our promises. What are we supposed to do? Oh, psych.
But it's not a bottomless well, though, Tom. We just can't keep giving them money.
So leave them alone and let them make their nuclear missiles. Mind your business. You can't have it both ways. That's why India said, bump you, I'm making my nuclear missile.
So the Pakistan said the same thing.
Yeah, so either shut up or put up. You can't have it both ways. So
what'd you say, Keith?
Are we paying them not to have nuclear weapons? Is that what you're saying?
That's what Todd's saying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They have a right
to defend. Todd is saying. That's
every
what we're
country has a right to defend itself with proportionate force.
Okay. I think that was more of an agreement that we made with Russia more so than we made with Ukraine.
Yeah, really.
No, because Russia also made that agreement with Ukraine. We'll protect you.
I'm sure Russia did make that agreement with Ukraine. Why does Russia want Ukraine to have nuclear weapons?
That's the United States and Russia promised them that. So Russia, of course, abandoned it. So we should too.
I just don't think we should be paying Ukraine not to have nuclear weapons.
So don't make the promise then.
I didn't make the promise.
Okay. All right. Okay. This is conversation.
We're voicing our
in a circle.
I agree with
like
Chris.
Trump supporters. No, America.